Hey guys, welcome back to a new YouTube video. And today, I'll be playing chess. I started chess about a month or two ago, so I'm not that good, but I'm definitely better than Marin. So today, I decided to only beat him with a queen and a king. Here's the match. Firstly, I went queen c2, he went pawn b6, I went queen d2, and then knight h6, I went back to queen c2, pawn d6, I went to queen b2, bishop b7, king d1, knight f5, queen f2, so I can attack the knight. And then he went queen d7, so he can protect the knight. I went queen d2. He went queen a4 check. I moved the king to king c1. And then he went check again with queen a1. I went to queen c2. King c2, I meant. And then he goes knight d7. I go for that free knight. I go queen f4. He does check with the bishop on e4, but that blunders a bishop because I can just take it for free. Well, I'm not sure if it's a blunder, but it's still a free bishop nonetheless. So I take it on queen e4, and he does check queen a2. I move out the way. I go back to king c1. He gives check on queen e2, but that's also a blunder because he just gave me a free queen, which really gave me a huge advantage. Now I take the queen with the king d2. He goes knight f6, but that also gives me a free knight. So I go queen f5, and then he goes pawn e5. I go back with my queen to b1. He goes check with knight e4. I move to e3 so I can attack the knight. He doesn't see it, like usual, so I just take the knight for free on king e4. And after, he goes to king d8, I go king e3, he goes king e7, I go king d2, he moves the pawn to c6, I move the queen for that free pawn to b6, he moves his pawn to h5, I give a fork with the rook and the king, so he moves his king to f6, and I take that free rook on queen a8. After he moves his pawn to h4, he's trying to promote, but I'm not gonna let him do that. As usual, I take the pawn on queen a5. He moves his king to e6. I go queen c3. He goes pawn c5. I go queen a5 again, and then he goes rook g8. I go queen c7. He goes back to h8. Then I go back to a5, and then he goes back to g8. It's like a repetition pretty much. I go queen a1. Then he goes king f6. I go looking to attack the pawn and give a check as well. I go queen h1. He moves out of the way to not get in check, so I take the free pawn. After, he blunders a rook by moving it back to h8, so I take the rook, and he doesn't even see that he also blundered the bishop. So I also took the bishop on queen f8. After, he goes pawn f5, and then I go queen g7, and then he goes pawn f4. I take the pawn on g6, queen g6, and then he moves the king to d7. I go queen f7 check. He goes queen c6. I go queen e8 check. He goes back to c7, and then I give another check on e7. He moves king c8, and then after I try to take the pawns. So I go queen d6. He goes king b7. I take another pawn on c5. He goes f3. I take another pawn on e5 after, and then he moves his king c6, and then I try to take the pawn, which it's an inevitable. So I take the pawn. He moves to c7, and after I took the... Alright, so bear with me here. It took me 33 moves to actually checkmate him because I didn't really know how to do like a king and queen checkmate, but I was able to do it eventually. So after I take the pawn, he goes king d7. I go king c3. He goes king e6. I go king c4. king e5, queen e3 check. He goes king f6. I go queen b6 check. He goes king f7. I go check again on b7. And I basically constantly keep giving him checks, and he keeps running away from it, which makes sense because that's the only piece left. So it's really boring. So I'll just show you guys like the main gameplay of it. So as you see, I'm just trying to constantly like checkmate him, and I'm trying not to stalemate because I did almost beat him when I did this, but I stalemated. So I tried to keep checking him as much as possible without getting stalemate. As you can see, I keep going. It's like a constant sequence. I'm like calculating in my head, like, where do I go? Well, where do I go so that I don't stalemate? So I tried to get him to a corner, but unfortunately that doesn't work because he's able to run away. I let him run away, so I just kept trying to like check him over and over again. I see he's in his corner now, so I'm just moving my king forward because he knows that he's not able to go down. So now the checkmate basically happens around here. He's forced to go up again, and then I go queen g7 to deliver the checkmate. Anyways, thank you for watching, and let me know if you like these types of chess videos because I've actually started to get into chess. It's a pretty cool game, and I'm actually getting my first chessboard soon because my birthday was two days ago. Yeah, so I'm 13 now as well. Anyway, thank you for watching.